Hi everyone. I've been doing some walking tour videos, some walking tours. I've been doing a lot of walking tours this year. I started off in about April, must have done about 50 by now. And I want to go through quite a lot in this video about walking tour videos that could be quite helpful for you if you're thinking about doing them yourself. I've got my notes because I'm terrible at sidetracking and just going on and on and on. So, what we're going to cover: why walking tour videos, equipment, editing, titles and thumbnails, how to do walking tours, where and when, building your confidence. That's something I didn't think about before I bought a DJI Osmo Pocket 3, before I went out. Thinking about the confidence, see what I mean? Sidetracking, this is why I need to do this. And how much I made in my first 3 months, and is it really worth it? So let's get on with it. Why walking tours? I like the idea of capturing a place in a period of time that can never be duplicated. That's why I like doing walking tours, and it gets me out of the house. I really do enjoy capturing places. Back when photography for me was a hobby, that's what I used to do. I used to just take pictures of places, and a lot of these places that I visit for walking tour videos, I already know like the back of my hand, so I know where to go. And another thing is they're always consistent. You know, someone's going to search a certain place and your video comes up 1 year later, 10 years later, 50 years later. I mean, you might not be making money out of it, you're probably dead by then, but it's always going to be there on the internet, and no one can ever duplicate that. In 20 years or 50 years' time, people are going to be looking at those videos and going, wow, that place doesn't exist anymore. That doesn't. What's that? Look at that guy's haircut. What are they wearing? And a big subject now in the UK is, I get it a lot in comments, is, oh, the migrants haven't gone there yet. But it is what it is in the UK at the moment. I'm not even going to get into that subject. But that's why I do walking tours. Walking tours are really chilled out. And ultimately, if we play our cards right, and that's why I'm doing this video, to help other people, you can make some passive money. And how long will that passive money last for? How long will your videos be relevant? They may not be trending, they may not get loads of views initially, but they will always keep going up and up to a certain extent. So that's why I do walking tours. So equipment, you can really go full pelt. I was going to say something else. You can go full pelt with this, or you can go so simple, and it doesn't really matter. There's always going to be an audience for you, whether you use your phone, and phones are good enough. You know, as long as you're 4K 60 frames. When you're at 30 frames, with the problem with walking tour videos is you're panning a lot, and there's a certain rule of thumb. I think it's like you don't do a whole frame pan within 7 seconds and all this crap. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that. I'm not going to get into the technical side, but your best bet is 60 frames. With I'm not going to get into equipment. Oh wait, I'm on equipment now, aren't I? I'm covering equipment now. Dave, how are you going to do this video? So this is what I use. Everyone uses this, or their phone, basically. This is a DJI Osmo Pocket 3. The only thing I don't like about it is that what I've seen a lot of people do, you set your frames to 1/120 when you're shooting, your shutter speed, when you're shooting 60 frames. But because the aperture, it's literally just f2. It's not a varied aperture. And I know some people aren't going to understand what I'm talking about, so I'm not going to get heavily into this, but basically, if you do just control your shutter speed and you're at f2, your ISO can only go down to 100. Skip this bit if you don't know what I'm talking about. So you end up with fucking highlights everywhere. Everything's going to be overexposed. But then you go to the extent of putting a bloody filter on it, ND filter, which basically just stops, less light comes in basically to your camera. to your lens. But then you'll find if you go from light to dark and you're in a dark area, your ISO is going to be bloody all the way up to the top. I think 6,400 is the max on there. And yeah, it's just a ball ache. You just don't want to go down the ball ache road. Trust me. Keep it simple, because actually, no one gives a shit anyway. Like, no one really cares that much. Because I found with this DJI thing, it defaults to 1/100 shutter speed if you're on 60 frames. It kind of stays at that period unless you're like really out in the sun. You have to be really out there. But no one cares. I've never had someone comment and go, "Oh my God, look at it when you're panning. Oh, I can see it's just staggering." Oh, no one writes that. No one cares. It's a walking tour. It's not a cinematic video. So use what you have, I would say. I've seen people literally just use their phone. Like, they just hold their phone like that for hours. Hats off to them. I mean, I would at least use a tiny gimbal. I mean, you could go to the extent, if you really want to go crazy with it. Please don't fall. Here we go. I mean, these things are getting quite light now. This is like, I can't remember what this is called. This is like some miniature DJI Ronin fucking thing. I don't know. But I did the calculations. I'm a photographer, not a videographer. That's why I've got Nikon. Ugh, terrible for video. But I was thinking about getting a Sony FX, is it called FX30? I can't remember now what it's called. It's the crop sensor one, the cheaper one. And I was thinking about getting one of those and then just getting like a lens, just one lens for that. Like I think it's the equivalent to like a 28 to whatever. Anyway, I was thinking about doing it and I was like, do I really want to spend $2,000 on all this stuff? And then I'm going to have to invest in like another memory card just for that camera and all the rest of it, and your mic, and then you just got to carry that like about 2 kilograms around of you for an hour. I know it's not that heavy, but walking tours, like, you want to be chilled out and you don't want people to be staring at you that much going, look at this guy, does he think he's a professional? But I would honestly, with today's equipment, I would stick to your phone. I'll stick to this beast. I'm sure there's going to be other companies that bring something out like this. And when the DJI make a fourth one in their series, I don't really care about zoom. It's digital zoom, 20mm. What I do care about, though, is if it could go from f2 to, say, f5.6, and if you could put on the settings, don't go lower than 1/120 shutter speed, because you can't even do that option. You could do that with professional cameras. Like, I always shoot manual. I hardly ever do video, really. But with cameras, you could do that. You can go, right, minimal shutter, 1/120, let's go 60 frames, 4K. And then you just go, right, whatever, F numbers, whatever, let's just auto ISO. You can do that. You can't do that with this. So you're just messing around. And the whole point of this thing is not to mess around. So you just find yourself in that loop again. You're like, oh, I'll leave my cameras at home and I'll take this out because it's easier. But then I'll put a filter on it and then do all the shutter speed and manual. Just use it in auto. No one cares, as I said, unless you're doing something cinematic. So walking tours, auto away. And that's why phones work so well, because all their auto settings, pretty decent. I know in low light they're pretty bad, but if you can get away with using your phone. The only problem with using your phones is the memory. These days, you can't find phones with external hard drives, so you end up with, that's just a money-making scheme for phone companies. They try and get you to pay horrendous amounts just to get an extra 500 gigabytes, when realistically you can get a 500 gigabyte little card for like 20 or 30 quid now. Yeah, that's equipment. Editing. So editing, keep it subtle. For walking tour videos, it's not about being cinematic at all. No one cares about your dark shadows and how brown you can make the scenery, which is pretty trendy right now in photography and videography. Like, just keep it true to life, really. I mean, I basically put the blacks up a lot in the shadows, which is something that is not trending right now, but people want to be able to see the scenery. They want to be able to see everything. They want to be able to clearly see people, because with these walking tour videos, it's very much about people watching anyway. So editing, keep it just keep it very simple. I mean, let me think. Is there anything else I do with editing? Honestly, walking tour videos, that's the good thing about walking tour videos. You hardly have to edit them. People, as soon as you put walking tour in the title, people know that this is going to be an uncut, pretty true to life video. So editing, it's easy. Like, you're not spending any time doing it. Titles and thumbnails. Now, if you're going to take anything away from this video, titles and thumbnails, it's like, I don't even know what it's like. It's a load of bollocks, to be honest with you. You can literally, sometimes people just strike luck. They literally just strike. No, you don't know what everyone else is thinking. Example, I did a walking tour of a Cornish town, little seaside village called Mousel. And the initial video, which is only like 22 minutes long or something, it's taken like 3 months to get to 1,000 views. But recently, I think it was like 3 days ago, not even 3 days ago, I decided to do my version of a short. So I put the video up, just like bits and bobs of it. I reduced it down from 60 frames to 50 frames and slowed everything down by like 84 whatever percent. So it would be 50 frames, and it looks quite nice when it's slowed down a little bit. And then I just covered it. I got rid of the ambient noise and I covered it with some sound, some music. And the thumbnail was just a print screen of the nicest scene of the nice blue water, the sand, and the town in the backdrop. But the title, it's the title that really did it. It literally just said Mousel, and then it said, what did I say? Is this really England? And it just got a lot of attention. So you're always experimenting. And what I find as well is actually asking a question on your title is quite a good way of doing things. There's a lot of people on the internet that are keyboard warriors. There's a lot of Karens. There's a lot of people on the internet that wouldn't. No one does this in the real world. Personally, for me, I treat people with respect on the internet and in the real world exactly as I would. Exactly the same. And when I'm in my car, people act differently. And you grab the attention of all these people, and they're like, "Oh no, it's Cornwall. That's not part of England." And there's other people arguing. You can just sit there and watch them argue. It's so funny. Some people just want to let off some steam and just write a load of rubbish and just let them do that, because at the end of the day, the more comments you've got on your videos, the more helpful it is to bring that video, give it that video some attention. Yeah. So what was I on? Titles and thumbnails. Yeah. So titles and thumbnails are extremely important. With thumbnails, again, you could write out the title of the place. And one thing people do, and I've seen it a few times, is it's sort of a hook. Really, it's just like half naked women that weren't even in the scene, just sort of boom, put on the scene, and the scene might not even be a print screen from. It might be a stolen photo. That's another thing. A lot of people use stolen photographer photos. That's not legal, by the way. Just because it's on the internet doesn't mean you have a right to use it, and that could be taken down if they find out. So use your own. I would suggest print screening a section of your video. That's what I do. And if you need to, I cover mine normally with the title of the town, and actually I have like a border system on the left, so it says like Vans walking tours, and a set color. It's like a blue color, just so if people like the last video they saw of mine, and then the suggestions come up, multiple suggestions, and they see the same similar thumbnail, they go, "Oh, that's him again." So I know what I'm getting if I click that video. It's just another location. So then, if people like your videos, then you encourage them to watch more of your videos. I think that's quite helpful. It's just a way of you separating yourself from other thumbnails of the same type of video. So how to do walking tours. This seems like quite a boring question. You just walk around with your phone or another device they're happy to use. but you need to be very smooth. When I first started off, I'm terrible. I walk very fast, and I don't even know it. If I'm going to the shops or something like that, I'm just like, I need to go from A to B like a normal bloke. I just go for it. Um, and with having a Filipino missus, it's hilarious watching us two try and walk together. Sometimes I walk in slow motion, sarcastically beside her, like, "Are you for real? Is this how fast you walk?" Dave sidetracking again. But anyway, you need to really be smooth about it. You need to keep whatever device you're using up to about chest level, or higher if you're going over crowds. But the difficult thing I found, and I still don't quite do it, and it depends on the device you use, bobbing, up and down bobbing. You really, I mean, people talk about this, is it called ghost walking or something like that? And it's just basically you're trying to keep, say you've got a full drink and it is absolutely toppers, and it's like you're trying to walk without spilling anything. That's basically what it is. But if I'm doing a walking tour for an hour long, I'm not going to be that bothered about it. Like, I'm going to be conscious about it. I'm not going to be going like wee, but I'm going to try and keep it as smooth as possible without breaking my back, basically. So with how to do walking tours as well, I found when I first started off, sometimes I know the scene I want, and there'll be a load of people there, and I'll try and avoid them. But now I always try and get them in, and I just sort of ignore what's going on with the people. If they get in the way, they get in the way. That's part of walking tour videos. We're not being a perfectionist trying to take an urban photo. One thing I think is a very corners. That's a big one actually. Corners. Always take the outside of a corner. It sounds ridiculous, but honestly, the last thing you want to see is like, in most cases, is you're going to a right or left bend and say there's a wall or something, and all you see is just like wall for like a couple of seconds, and then boom, it's like like if I'm down like a pathway, it's going left and right, or like examples, I've done Cheddar Gorge, I've done um, all sorts of other places where it's a gorge basically, of course. But as it bends left, I'm on the right hand side of the bend. So I think walk like you're on the road and you're expecting traffic on that road so people can see you, because you want to get as much in the frame at all times. So that's a big one, corners. Like, that's just popped in my head. This is me just randomly winging it. So where to do walking tours? YouTube doesn't care about the grey man. It doesn't care about the average Joe. No one cares about something people do every day, unless it's in the past, like over 30, 40 years in the past. So you need to basically aim for the most beautiful place near you, or an absolute dive. A lot of videos go viral in the UK of migrants, homelessness, all that sort of stuff. If you're doing a walking tour through London through a bloody tent village, it's going to get a lot of views. And if you put that as your thumbnail, it's going to get a lot of views, because that thing is trending right now, and everyone knows that UK is a sinking ship. Um, Dave, stop sidetracking. I may be leaving the country one day soon. Anyway, so yeah, where to do walking tours? For my area, because I live in Plymouth, Plymouth, the ocean city of the United Kingdom. Actually, it's not too bad in Plymouth compared to a lot of other cities, and the surrounding areas of Plymouth for me are really nice. If you look at all my videos, most of them are around my area, and I never really have to drive longer than an hour and a half to get anywhere. Um, and they're so remote. They're very unique places, and they're places that you want to do and you want to capture in the summer. So yeah, for me, strangely enough, I say where to do walking tours. I one of my first videos when I was getting into this, I just attached the camera to the pram or pushchair or whatever you want to call it if you're American, and it's still going very well. It's got thousands of views, and it's literally just me pushing my baby boy around Plymouth for like 2 hours. It's really strange, But the thumbnail, and I'm not going to do that again because I kind of feel bad anyway, but the thumbnail is just a print screen of the video, but it's got a homeless person in it. So, and also the title, this goes to show about thumbnails and titles. The title is something along the lines of like Plymouth, I can't remember, like basically it's a dive, but every city is a bit of a dive in UK now, so there's no surprise there. But this is again thumbnails and your titles makes a hell of a difference. It could be the worst video going. So yeah, what was that question? That was where to do walking tours. So I think I've pretty much covered that. When to do walking tours? Again, it sounds like a simple question, but it's really not. It doesn't have a simple answer. If you're going somewhere that people clicking on that video that may know the location, or by looking at the thumbnail picture, they think that place looks really peaceful. It looks chilled out. They're expecting a chilled out video. So I've got one of a place called Nos Mayo. That's not far from where I live, and it's just a quaint little village. Pretty much all Airbnbs. It's dead. It's completely dead. You know, and it's so peaceful. And the thumbnail will just show like the creek and some nice houses with a little sunset. And how I started that video, I just left my camera in one place, just left it rolling for a minute first, so people can hear the ambient sound of all the birds and that. And that again, so sunset, that's when I did that video. I did that one in sunset. I also made sure that the tide was not low because the creek completely empties out, but I made sure it's high enough so there's some water in there. Tides are a big one if you live near the sea, massive one. There's places around my area where the rivers and that, they pretty much empty out completely, and you know you'd rather have water in there. It looks so much better. Also, what else could we go on? When? I mean, seaside places around where I live in the southwest. You know, people. It's more for people to look at the destination for when they go on holiday. No one wants to see that in winter. Well, I doubt anyone does, unless they want to see what it looks like when there's no tourists there. And there will be people that want to see that. But most people want to see that video, that location, when it's in summer. What does it look like in summer? Like, how crowded is it? They want to see, like, is it worth going there? You're sitting there thinking, wow, that's a lot of people crammed in that one town, that one seaside town. Do we really want to go there? Nah. Let's go abroad to Morocco. It's cheaper than going to Lou for a week. Do you know what I mean? So that's a big one. And Lou, the town Lou, is a big video of mine. A lot of people look at that in the summer, and you'll find people will look at the videos more, those sort of videos more in the spring and the summer. And I think that covers that subject pretty well. Building confidence. Now, this is something that I did not even think about when I bought this, and I thought, yeah, let's just walk around with this. Now, I don't blow my own trumpet or anything like that. I'm pretty humble, but that's probably my problem. But I am confident. And, you know, I was in the military. I'm a wedding photographer. I go in front of loads of people that I don't know, and I talk to them. And if I have to, I just help them out with group photos and weddings. And I'm pretty friendly, really. I'd speak to anyone around the world, whether it's some homeless bloke or some top totty. And I couldn't believe that whether it's confidence, I don't know whether it's confidence really. I think it's some sort of self-absorption. It's the fact that I'm just walking around like, oh, look at me, I've got a camera. It's not even that, because I walk around in my camera, and I'm happy to walk around in my camera and take stills. Not a problem with that. I think it's my age. I'm sitting there like thinking while I'm talking. I'm so sorry. I think it's because I never grew up with it being the norm, because I never take selfies. If I go somewhere, I go, that's nice. I'll take a picture of that. I never go, wee, right, let's take a picture of myself and get that in there. So I think it might be my age as well. It's very strange. It's so alien to just walk around like this, knowing that you're videoing someone and they're looking at you. And it doesn't feel natural. For me, when I started off, I made it, I don't know why I even did this, but I had my camera on one shoulder and then I just walk around like this, just to like, and I took like 5 pictures, but an hour long video. But I think it's just a way of me making it look like I've got more to do than just walk around with this stick. I don't know. But when I first started as well, I sort of then thought about how to overcome this. And the way I did it was I think about all the dicks that drive around UK roads, tailgate you, and all the rest of it, and act like knobheads. And then I just think to myself, well, I'm walking down a town. He could be one of those knobheads, and he doesn't want to be recorded. But tough shit. You're in a public area. You're going on the internet, and that's that's actually how I overcome that at first. It was quite an aggressive tactic, but that's how I did it. And then after that, I just didn't care. I just didn't really give a shit. And with practice, you'll be the same. I promise, you'll be the same. You won't care at all. And at the end of the day, if anyone's got anything to say about it, I think the worst case scenario is nothing happens. No one says anything. Because if someone says anything, someone does anything, guess what? It's content. It's in your video. You're in a public space. You've got a right to record. You're not just focusing on them. They're just in your frame. It's not like some of these YouTubers that go, ooh, look at this homeless person. So, yeah, that's me going on quite a bit there. And what were we? See, I don't even remember. Building confidence. That was it. I talk so much. Unbelievable, isn't it? Has anyone realised yet that I've lost my tash? It just keeps coming and going. It's amazing, isn't it? It's magic. Right, so we're on to how much have I made in 90 days? And I say how much I've made. That's not profit. If you think about the amount of money I've spent on fuel, the amount of money I've spent on parking, the equipment, just your time, and food. You go to these places, you need to eat out, or even if you go prepared. I mean, I normally just get a meal deal from Tesco's, to be honest, because it's so expensive to eat out. And if I'm doing that many walking tour videos, it's going to be quite costly. Sorry, my throat just keeps cracking up. So in 90 days, it says that I was monetized on the 21st of July, and we're now on the 19th of October, so nearly 3 months, pretty much 3 months. And in 90 days, I've had, it says, estimated revenue of £137. So, we're looking at about, was that about £45 a month? Just over. Yeah. So that's how much I made. So the big question is, which I nearly covered at the end of my 90-day monetization money, whatever I got, is it really worth it? Yes and no. On YouTube, if you really want to take YouTube seriously, no matter what you do, you're in it for the long run, aren't you? You're not in it to go, right, I'm going to do a few videos and call it a day. Anyone that starts YouTube is in it for the long run, because you're getting passive money. Eventually, it turns into passive money. So is it really worth it short term? If you want to just do like 10 walking tour videos randomly within a year or two, no. You may just about get yourself monetized. Depends, obviously, where and all the rest of it. But if you're thinking long term, and I mean long term, even out of walking tour videos, is it worth it? Yes, it is. For me, as I've mentioned already, I've only made just shy of 150 quid in 3 months. It's nothing. And I haven't made that. The camera itself cost £619, So it's not worth it short term at all. It's very time consuming as well. It's very difficult. I've been going around with my little baby on a harness because I've been stay at home dad while I edit wedding photos, and it gets me out of the house. But long term, it will be worth it, definitely. As I've mentioned already, it if you're still getting revenue from these videos in 10 years plus, of course it's worth it. You know, if you're making £10 a month on one video, it adds up, and you've got hundreds of videos. It bloody adds up. So you're stacking that amount. Think of it as a pension pot. So I would always say, if you really want to do it, just do it. Get out there. If one person can walk around somewhere and get 1 million views in a month, so can you. We all can. We just need to figure out how and get to a nice location. So yes, it is worth it long term. No, not short term. So summary, I've realised that the longer I do this video for, the more I come out my shell. And this will bring me on to why I'm really doing the walking tours. This isn't really a summary, is it? Why walking tours was at the beginning. I should have covered this on the beginning bit. But anyway, the summary for me, why I'm doing walking tours, is my YouTube account is actually very old, but I never took YouTube seriously. I started off doing random Call of Duty videos just because I was getting a lot of hate mail because I was first in the world and Shino Numa Call of Duty maps. It was just some crazy crap, and everyone kept giving me hate mail. So I just made a video about how to do these things, and it just went crazy. And then I started doing some tree stuff, how to propagate trees, and then I just got onto these walking tour videos because I just saw everyone else doing them, and I thought, yeah, I can do that as well. So it didn't take me long to become monetized, and I really don't know where I was going with that. Let me think. God, sometimes I don't know whether I'm coming or going. So that was what was. It took me like nearly a minute to sit here, just like, what was I talking about? But the main reason, like for me, going around England isn't that interesting. I've seen it all before. I'm in my late 30s. Like, there's nothing new down the southwest for me. I've seen it. But what I haven't seen is the Philippines. And my missus is from the Philippines. She's a nurse. We're going over there in January for 6 weeks. And my priority was to become monetized so I can start vlogging. And this is another thing. For me, I don't feel as if I could ever just walk with a camera in front of me and vlog straight away, just like boom. I had to build on that. I had to build on doing the walking tours first, and that's given me a lot more confidence to think, well, I'm probably at the stage now, and with practice I'll be better at it and become more myself and show my character more just walking around with people. Because the problem with myself is that it's good for business, it's good for if you're a wedding photographer, but it's not good for vlogging, having this state of mind. I'm always aware of everything, and it sort of jogs my mind sometimes, and it makes me go blank, and I lose my train of thought very easily. It's also a problem when I used to go out drinking. I'd be like drinking loads, and it'd be like 4 a.m. I remember one time in Plymouth with all my marine friends, and I'm literally just there having a cigarette, looking at a seagull, eating chips, and some fat girl chasing it, and I'm like, did I actually drink enough tonight? And that's why I had to drink so much, because I'm just too aware of my surroundings. That is a good thing, but when you're vlogging, not so much. But I did find when I was just talking about that device, it took me a while to warm up to it, and it was a pretty shit video. But I found already that even the 15 minutes I was doing that video, I was starting to get tunnel vision. I was starting to just not care, and I think that will definitely happen for vlogging, as it has done for walking tours. The whole I don't really care what people think, that will just come around, and you will find the same as well. So do we add anything more to the summary? Expect a lot of videos of myself being myself, going to Philippines. I'm not really going to try and do the same shit that everyone else has done. I'm going to be myself, and it will be quite different because my missus is a city girl, she's from Manila. She's a nurse. She's not from the province or any of that. So it will be different. And she's got her own money. You know, she's got her own apartment. We'll be living in there. We won't have to rent anything. She pays into that like the equivalent of a mortgage. So yeah, I'm talking so much now. Yeah, okay. I think I'm done. I hope you all enjoyed watching this and you got an idea of walking tours and ultimately myself as well. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoy the walking tours I do, and I hope you enjoy the content that I will be making in the future. See you later.